As a lot of you may know, I am indeed a Liverpool fan. You'll know this by the fact I'm wearing a cap in every single one of my videos to try and cover up my hairline with the letters LFC written on it, by the fact I have signed kits in the background of all my videos, and also by the number of stolen cars I have in my drive. See, I can be unbiased at times too. I have lived in Liverpool before, and there were days where stepping out of your front door was like stepping out of a helicopter into the middle of the Vietnam War. Stereotypes aside, I adore my club during my years as a fan, and I've been treated like a kid in a sweet shop to some of the best players in the history of our club. Some of these players will forever occupy a small space in my heart and will be remembered fondly with great admiration. Some of the others, however, will be remembered less fondly than a turd on my front doorstep. For every Mo Salah and Luis Suarez in my life, there have also been some players who will occupy certain parts of my nightmares for the personal stress that they have caused me. Some of these are down to poor performances, and some are there for moments of individual dross. Buckle up and get ready for an angry one. Welcome to Good Sport Reviews. My name is Lewis, and here are my top 10 Liverpool players who gave me personal stress. Number 10, Glenn Johnson. Oh, good. We're starting with Glenn. Look forward to this. It's like starting off at a restaurant with the dessert. If the dessert keeps getting moved to the wrong part of the table and can't stay where it's supposed to. Terrible analogy aside, Glenn Johnson seems like a nice person, very charitable, and while nothing on this list is malicious, it's all just my own opinion, this man caused me so much stress, it's unheard of. It wasn't all bad at the Kenny Dalglish. There were signs of a good player when he was at left back, but the man just couldn't defend, and because he was such an attack-minded player, he neglected tracking back and actually, defending. So often he was caught out of position, and I don't know how we nearly won the league in 2013-14 with this defence. I just don't get it. He had moments in attack, but he was so casual on the ball and started to offer nothing going forward that he was essentially a passenger. And if I want one of them, I'll listen to Iggy Pop. If you don't know who he is, ask your parents, kids. He's a bit old for you, might be a bit young. Sure, often bullied on the ball, slow in and out of possession. He was a player who had so much potential, but just couldn't back it up on the pitch. Number 9, Thiago Alcantara. It's risky business, this one, I'll be honest. Look, I think Thiago's a great player. He can pass a ball like it's no one's business, is great in possession, and can play a multitude of midfield positions. The fact that he's won as much as he has is a testament to that. There's just one problem. He never plays. Once again, none of this is personal, and it's obviously not his fault. If anything, this is annoyance because I can't watch him on the pitch, unlike other entries on this list where their very existence on the pitch makes me want to scratch my eyes out with a football boot. Thiago has ability, but I always liken it to this. Imagine if I buy a Ferrari with what little money I have. Like and subscribe, please, thank you. I pay all the road tax, the insurance, decorate the whole car, modify the engine, and go around telling everyone it's so fun when I get to drive it. It's the best ride ever, but I never put any petrol in the car. What's the point in paying it all? The prospect to one day to be able to drive it on the road again? Thiago is the same. We all remember the Porto goal in the Manchester United games, which made Gary Neville himself squeal like a pig, but there's a constant feeling of one day he will be back, and he's back for 10 minutes, and then he's out for months again, and I feel like I'm the only person who feels this way, and it's maddening. Number 8, Alberto Moreno. Look, I don't want to rip into this one too much because I actually quite like Alberto Moreno. I think he's got an infectious personality. All the lads in the dressing room have said he's one of the best characters in there, so it's no wonder Brendan Rodgers wanted him, eh? But he just couldn't defend, and at times he looked half drunk on the pitch. Going forward, he was effective at points, and that Tottenham goal during his first game the season we signed him was a sign of what he could do in attacking, but holy shit. The defence might as well have been a back three when he was a part of it. He tried for sure. He didn't give up and just didn't have a defensive bone in his body. And the peak of this is when people actually started the rumour that he was working for Sevilla, his former club, when we played them in the Europa League final in 2016. He was at fault for 2 of their goals and we lost the game 3-1. And like I've said, he has an infectious personality, but it's not an excuse for playing like Stevie Wonder, where he put on a kit and played in a Sunday league game. Moments of madness, moments of stress, and so many headaches later. He makes my list like other fullbacks because he just didn't know how to be part of a back line. And a true testament to this is when he got injured and James Milner, who'd been a midfielder his whole career, moved into the left back spot and actually played better. Good Lord, what a timeline we live on. Number 7, Paul Keski. Jesus Christ. At least Glenn Johnson had moments where he looked like he could turn things around. Paul Keski was about as passable as a fart in a lift. He signed from Fulham for $4 million under Roy's regime, which sounds like the worst boy band of all time, and he proceeded to play 15 games in 1.5 years does not explain how awful the signing was for Liverpool. He was constantly a target of sarcastic cheers, and for good reason. Does anyone remember the Tottenham mistake? Because I do. Lack of defensive discipline, no effect when going forward, and looked like a deer in the headlights whenever attacks went down his side of the pitch. Paul Keski was heart attack inducing at best. Also, side note, his mother called us all Scouse scum with a team who were living in the past, and called her son a cockney Well, at least we agree on one thing, Mrs. Konchesky. Number 6, Naby Keita. I mean, I feel bad for once again picking on the injured, but here I go offending again. Naby Keita was a player we had to wait a whole year for after we signed him. We got him on a pre-contract for around £50 million in the summer of 2017, and I, like most, was excited. A young, energetic presser on the ball who could dribble, play box-to-box, had all the makings of a Jurgen Klopp player, and then it all went down the bog. Naby Keita suffered, checks notes, 21 injuries during his time with us, missing 135 games. That is ridiculous and ludicrous. Again, much like Thiago, it's not his fault, and in a way I do feel bad for him, but at least when Thiago played, he looked every bit the player we were expecting. With Keita, it seemed like it took him 5 games just to get back up to speed. He'd score a wonder goal, and then the milk around his legs would dissolve them like Weetabix. So back to the medical room, Naby. He couldn't find his way back into the team, and the club didn't even try selling him. They just let the contract expire and tossed him out the door, so he essentially lost £50 million in full. Again, this isn't a criticism of the player for who he was, but what he could have been. He did at one point look like he'd become an incredible player under Jurgen Klopp. It didn't work. Sorry, Naby. Number 5, Fernando Morientes. This was our fault, let's be honest. I mean, there was so much expectation and hype built around Morientes when he signed in 2005. But who can blame us? He won 3 Champions Leagues in Madrid, scored 100 goals for the club in his career, and spearheaded one of the best attacks in European football. The hype was there because it was warranted. It's just a shame that the match of Morientes and Liverpool wasn't made in heaven. It was made in hell, or Grimsby as you might call it. He scored against Middlesbrough, Birmingham, Charlton and Fulham, which is good, but he always went quiet on the big occasions. He never found that flair that he had in Madrid. And as a child, Real Madrid was always this mystical club which produced world-class players who everyone used to pretend to be on the playground. And Morientes was one of those players. So when he arrived, the expectation was he was going to set the world alight for the club, and it didn't happen. He only scored 12 goals in 60 appearances before we sold him to Valencia. It's on the list not because he was awful by any means, but because he could have been so much more. And as a child, it disappointed me that he couldn't reach the levels we'd heard of in Spain. Number 4, El Hadji Diouf. See you next Tuesday. Sorry, explaining my despair for having to talk about the Celtic fan spitting, Gerrard slandering number 9, who scored 3 goals in 55 games. He went a whole season without scoring. What the Honestly, I was a little too young to remember when we signed Diouf in 2002 and can't remember him playing too much in recent years, so I've had to go back and saw moments of his career, and Jesus Christ, I've seen YouTube shorts which are longer than a highlight reel of Diouf's time at Liverpool. The gap in between goals cannot be justified, and as a number 9, it's ridiculous. He spat at a Celtic fan, which we've all wanted to do at some point in our lives, but I wouldn't go around the streets actually doing it in Glasgow. I'd probably get glass quicker than anyone. And he didn't fit in, saying that Steven Gerrard was a nobody and publicly saying he regrets joining the club and should have gone to Barcelona instead because, in his words, the option was there. Sure, El Hadji, whatever you say. It's on the list because of the disrespect this man had for the club and for the simple lack of ambition he showed during his time there. Unexcusable. Number 3, Mario Balotelli. The rebound. You lose a loved one, so you look for someone who's risky, someone who all your friends are telling you comes with risk but could do things you could only dream of. You take the gamble and you end up with someone who has about as much talent as a plank of wood with a face painted on it trying to sing. Mario Balotelli was Liverpool's desperate attempt to salvage some sort of attacking threat after the sale of Luis Suarez, which is like giving away your filet mignon and buying a piece of coal wrapped in bacon saying, this is basically the same. Balotelli was beyond awful. He only scored 4 goals for Liverpool despite being the focal point in the attack with Suarez gone and Sturridge injured more than ever this season. He had no mobility apart from when he was producing memes and just epitomised everything wrong with Liverpool towards the end of Brendan Rodgers' time at the club. A player who had all the talent in the world but just couldn't stop setting off fireworks and getting into fights long enough to actually play properly. He just couldn't do anything for us. I hate this. I hate this list. Why do you do this, Brendan? There were other players there. You had time. Why did you leave your homework until the last minute and then scribble Balotelli onto it and hand it into the board? Number 2, Andy Carroll. I don't know if I can do this list anymore, I won't lie. I can feel my hairs going grey and my blood pressure reaching greater levels than this man did during his time at Liverpool. I can't fathom what the logic was for signing this man. Yes, we sold Torres to Chelsea and we needed firepower. But was Andy Carroll, who'd scored 11 in 19 during a purple patch, really the answer? Was there no one else there? He was a physical player, and I understand that Kenny was going for, in a sense, someone to hold up play and allow players like Dirk Kuyt and Luis Suarez to benefit. But holy shit, he just lumbered around the pitch like the Big Show and seemed allergic to finding the back of the net. 6 goals was his record, and I get that he was 22 years old and that there was time for him to develop, but Brendan Rodgers saw how dross he was and shipped him off to West Ham faster than the speed of light. There was a time when people thought Carroll was going to be the focal point over Luis Suarez, and the man himself has said he could never get to speed at Liverpool given the fact he never wanted to leave Newcastle in the first place. The move was doomed from the start. And number 1, Lazar Markov. I don't know why I torture myself with the Markovic signing. Maybe I hate myself and want to suffer. Maybe I'm just a petty man, or maybe it's because he signed with so much hype and expectation when he joined for 25 million and declared that he was going to be the best player in the world. Spoiler, he wasn't, and I'm pretty sure he never will be. I was so excited when he joined in 2014, the prospect of an exciting winger who's going to bring flair, attacking threat, and just overall excitement to a team who just lost the best striker on the planet that summer, and it just went tits up. The Serbian man without a plan just ended up looking like a Marco bitch on the pitch. 34 appearances, 3 goals, 1 assist was Jalot. Once again, he wants to be the best player on the planet. Great expectations. The Sunderland goal was great, I can't deny that. But his most notable moment in a red shirt was when he flicked Berang Safari in the eye, and that was during our last Champions League group game of the season when he got sent off. Why? What was the reason? What did you achieve? Was it so he couldn't see how crap you were? More hype than the return of Jesus, less ability than a fridge, and more loans than a bank. This man gave me stress like you couldn't believe, and he just couldn't match the expectation. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. And also mad. And that is our video. Please make sure to hit like and subscribe. It really does help out. And we will see you in the next video.